You guys a tutorial on how to fiberglass resin. Here's the Temple Guardian mask that we'll be using to resin today, so let's start off with a list of materials that you're going to need. Of course, to start off this build, you will need some fiberglass resin. This can be found at your local Walmart or your local hardware store, and this is going to cost you about $15. Next up, what you'll need, and this should already come with your kit. If it didn't, you'll need to pick up some liquid hardener to help cure all of the resin. This is going to set you back about $6. Next up, and this will be for later on in the build, you're going to need some fiberglass cloth to help strengthen up your build. This will be put on in layers 2 and 3, and this, depending on the size of the cloth, is going to set you back $6 to $10. Now, this is the most important thing I'm going to recommend for this. You're going to need to make sure that you have a good safety respirator to help you breathe throughout this process. The chemicals are very dangerous. We want to make sure you're safe. You can get something as simple as a $6 mask, or I actually recommend something like this for about $20. Next up, you're going to need a nice set of gloves. This is going to cost you about $7 for the box, and it will keep your hands protected during this process. Make sure that you can double up or even triple up on layers just in case you get resins on your hand, because it does have a tendency to eat away through the gloves, and you don't want that stuff on your hands. And last but not least, we need a measuring cup and something to mix it up in. The cup is going to run you about 50 cents, and the brush is about 25 cents. This way we make sure that we don't use too much resin during the build and have a lot of excess. We're only going to be doing this in small increments. Alright guys, that's all that we need for this build. So now that you know all the materials that you need, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so we are ready to start doing the fiberglass resin portion of this build. So we're going to take our time and make sure that we get all of our measurements right, and make sure that everything is good to go. So along with this cup, I want to let you know that it's better to measure this thing in ounces. So we're only going to do 2 ounces, which is just enough to do the very first layer of this build. So we're going to go ahead and actually pour in 2 ounces. That first pour was actually pretty accurate, so we're going to make sure that that's all nice and tight on there. Then we're going to take our liquid hardener, and it requires 10 drops of hardener per every 1 ounce of resin. So we're going to go ahead and actually measure that in. I had a little trouble here trying to get the resin drops to match the same one, but if you can, try to get them to be the exact same size in each drop. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our brush and we're going to mix that up very nice and thoroughly, and you're going to want to try to get something that's similar to a warm syrup. So it's going to look just a little warm. It's like you put syrup in the microwave for just a few seconds just to get that nice warm texture there. Then once you have it, you're going to go ahead and just continue to mix, make sure everything's good to go. Then you're going to start applying your first coats. Now on the back of this mask we actually put some stabilizers to keep the form of the mask that we want. This shape will actually condense itself once the resin has been put on. So if your build requires stabilizers, make sure that you do get them put in there. And then later on we're going to use this fiberglass cloth on our second or third layer. Okay, so we're going to mix this up, and I'm going to go ahead and speed up this part of the video so you guys don't have to worry and watch me just simply apply this in a short, quick fashion.
Everybody supersonic racing, underneath your feet right all around. We're going supersonic racing, there's no time to look around. We're supersonic racing, running to the point of no return. Yeah.
Alrighty guys, as you can see, our build is now dry with the very first layer that we've got on there, so everything feels nice and tight. Now, if your build is still a little tacky on the outside, don't worry. Remember, you are going to be adding several layers to this, so make sure that you just continue to add those layers on, and the more hardener that's placed onto it, the smoother the dry will be. So it's nice and solid right there. Now here in just a little while, after 1 or 2 builds, we are going to eventually add our own fiberglass cloth. This is going to be just put on the inside of the mask just to help strengthen it. Fiberglass cloth does not look good on the outside of projects, so I cannot stress that enough to just put it on the inside layers only. So, alright guys, so that's pretty much all that we have. Thank you so much for watching, we definitely do appreciate it. And don't forget guys, you can cosplay. So we just want to say thank you for watching, and you guys